Hey, welcome to episode 7 of the Mile 20 podcast, where epic shit happens. I'm Laura, and I'm here with my bestie, Lorri. Hey, Lorri.
Hello.
Hello. So, super excited today. We are going to talk about the Big Sur Marathon.
I love it.
Yeah, last week we were in Boston, and this week we are in Big Sur.
Yeah, we're at the apex of marathoning.
Apex, and we're what, six races in?
I feel like I saw, 6 races in, but I think it was like our 14th and 16th marathon.
Yes.
At the time.
Yeah, but this is a big one. So we're super excited to talk to you guys about this one tonight.
Yeah.
Also, we are going to highlight some stuff about Hurricane Point, taiko drummers, and a baby grand piano.
Oh.
That's a mother-in-law. We'll talk about the beverage of the week and what's been happening. Couple things going on, and we'll dive into Big Sur, and then we'll touch on our teaser about Vermont City after that. So yeah. And don't forget to go and check us out on Instagram and on Facebook at Mile 20 Podcast, where you can find a link to all of the places where we are broadcasting our podcast. So please go out there, like us.
Subscribe on YouTube,
please. Yeah, we're on YouTube as well.
Yep.
You could see us on video if you want. See our lovely faces, and we're loving the feedback that we're getting from folks that are listening to the podcast right now. So keep the comments coming, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So Lorri, you picked out the beverage of the week, our Mile 20 beverage. So
I did.
You did. So why don't you talk a little bit about the backstory here?
Okay. So it's going to be a little bit sad. I know we're pretty upbeat and we laugh a lot and goof around, but 2017 was an exceedingly rough year for the Feckman family. My stepdad was very, very sick and wound up passing away May 16th of 2017. Mm-hmm. So in the middle of our marathon season, I was also flying back and forth to Florida a lot because he was not doing well and my mom needed a lot of help. So with all that, there's a lot of things combined in what we're drinking tonight. We are drinking is this a Cabernet?
Yes, it's a Cabernet.
It's a Cabernet from Sterling. While we were out in California, I had spent some time in Southern California, but I'd never been to San Francisco. And of course, that's kind of your closest airport you fly into for Big Sur. So I was like, hey, can we spend some time out there? So Dave was like, sure. So we made an kind of an extra fluffy weekend out of it. And we spent a couple of nights in San Francisco, and then we went to Napa, in which we actually did get to tour Sterling Winery as one of them. But as a sidebar, in conjunction with that, I knew about Sterling because Paul, my stepdad, He loves having red wine with his dinner. He was a steak and potatoes man, and he loved his red wine. Not fancy wine. He actually would drink like the jugs of wine, but
Gallo wine.
Yeah. Yeah, my tastes have gotten more sophisticated, but he brought a bottle of Sterling. Like, to him, Sterling was like the good stuff. And I remember him introducing me to Sterling. And there was a time in the hospital kind of towards the end where the nurses were like, and he was in hospice, they were like, just give him whatever he wants, whatever makes him happy at this point, just like let him have it. And he was dying to have a taste of wine. So we bought a bottle of Sterling, and the nurse let us pour it in a little cup with a little spongy thing and rub it around his mouth. So, and he seemed so happy about it. So I asked, margaritas would have been again, very much, appropriate because we did have margaritas, as well as I think we had a Chardonnay that Dave brought to the finish line.
Yes.
I thought I was remembering Prosecco, but I think it was a Chardonnay.
No,
actually.
it was white wine.
Yeah.
We drank white wine after the race.
Yeah. But Laura I'm like, can we do Sterling?
I was like, I got
you,
girl.
Paul. Yeah, I want to do Sterling.
So after work
Paul.
today, I went over to the beverage store and picked up a bottle of the Sterling wine for Lorri. So.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna take a deep breath because I'm so glad I didn't cry while I was talking about it.
You did good, girl. Because I get you. All right, cheers, my friend, and here's to Paul.
And here's to Paul. Mm-hmm. Yep, it actually tastes pretty good for a $14.
I don't usually slurp my wine, but I'm doing that for effect so people know I'm actually consuming the drink on, on audio. It's a red wine. It's nice. Yeah. It's a little tart.
It is.
Tastes a little cherry.
But it's not like...
No. I'm not going to grow hair on my ass drinking it. So
no. Thank God.
So
what'd you do this weekend?
Jim and I, we have a house that is down on the Chesapeake Bay, and it was a fixer-upper that we bought.
And you fixed the hell out of it.
And my husband and I, thank God, we are both very, very handy people, because I can't even imagine the amount of money we would have spent, having somebody go and do the work that we've done.
Yeah.
I've painted every single ounce of that house. Well, I still had more to paint, so I painted our bar cabinets. We have a nice bar in the family room. So
what was it before?
It was kind of like a red,
like a cherry.
It wasn't even cherry. It was almost like a rosewood. So every time you went down there, everything's got this really nice gray and white and blue, decor, and then this cherry red, cabinet. So it was an eyesore, and I ran out of steam last year doing the project. So that's what I ended up doing, and I underestimated how long it will take to go and do that.
Oh, really? How long did it take?
I started on Saturday at about 10:30 in the morning, and I was still painting at 9 o'clock at night. And then the following morning, I still probably had about an hour and a half of painting left. Oof. It looks awesome. But
you sore?
No, I'm not sore. Actually, I'm not sore.
Good.
But I listened to Inner Excellence, the AJ Brown. I'm going to call it the AJ Brown sponsored book.
Hell yeah!
That he was sitting on the sideline reading during one of the football games. Everybody gave him shit for it, but it was actually a really decent book. A lot of good nuggets in there.
I think I might want to listen to it.
It was a good book.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. So I just threw on the not the podcast, but the Audible book, and just listened to it. And I actually finished the book because I was painting for a really long time.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. Tell what you did over the weekend.
So I think I mentioned that our son, DJ, he's a Division I swimmer for the University of Delaware, and he's a senior this year. And this was the weekend of his last conference finals. He's on the conference finals team. And so we went down to, it was in Hampton, Virginia. They are right now in it's the Coastal Athletic Association, the CAAs, but this is the last season. The football switched whatever conference that they were in to be in the FBS, but the conference that the football is in doesn't have swimming. So then they got kicked out of their current conference because they're moving, I guess, up, so to speak. So anyway, now they're in the ASUN, I think, conference or something like that. But that doesn't concern me anymore because I had a senior. And so this was his last conference finals meet in Hampton, Virginia. And we had a great time. It was really fun. On Wednesday night, he swam in the 200 IM relay, and they won first place. So he got to podium, and he got a gold medal.
Yeah, it was cool seeing the pictures that you were sending and seeing him all smiles with the three other guys. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, what a way to start the meet.
It was awesome. And then he didn't swim Thursday, but he swam Friday and Saturday. And he A-finaled in the 100 back and 100 fly, Yay. Which was great. And he swam well. He actually did personal bests in both
personal
of those.
Records, right? Yeah.
So that was great. And then I think Saturday was super emotional. He had the 200 back, and of course it was his last collegiate swim or career swim, really, unless he decides to do master swimming someday. And so I think he was a little disappointed because he didn't A-final, but the whole, the top 3 times of the B final 3 years ago would have podiumed, would have won.
You said that it's gotten a lot faster.
It has gotten so fast.
Yeah.
And I think he was also a little in his head and a little emotional because it was the last swim.
Be?
So he was a little disappointed that he B-finaled, but I mean, we were so proud of him. And I hate to compare different sports and things, but I do firmly believe that swimming is kind of a next level type of sport.
You know where I saw that really, just right in front of us was when we all went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And DJ, when he came out to stay with us in Kauai, he found a YMCA.
Yeah.
And this kid was getting up at like 5:00 in the morning and driving, I don't know, it was like 40 minutes, right, to go up north to hit the pool, which was frigid. Because, it wasn't heated and it was cooler in the mornings. And he would do, I don't know how long he swam for, but he would swim like every day just to not go and lose, the training. And I'm like, that's dedication. That's a sport where you just cannot let up.
No. And he's been doing it since he was 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and year round.
Yeah.
Yes, he'd have August off.
Yeah.
But yeah, summer he's up and he has to be at practice at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. every day on the summer.
And when he was younger, I mean, you were definitely a strong part in that, right? Being the supportive parent. I mean, for all of our kids, right? We're there as parents to go and support them and love them and pick them up when they're feeling down about things. I think the moment that got me, because you guys, you and Dave were sending us pictures, throughout the weekend because we love DJ. And I think it was when Maggie sent the pictures and the video of, you all hugging DJ at the end. And it was just very, very emotional. I started crying when I saw you guys crying and I was like, ah.
Well, I had the pleasure of being able to sign up to volunteer for finals for his last swim. And we were able to get his lane. So I was keeping it together and everything was fine. And also, let me just back up just a tad. The parents, the University of Delaware swim parents are probably some of the coolest people.
I love it.
As far as like your kids' sports. They have been amazing to hang out with. And I had the pleasure of being the social coordinator this year. So like I planned out
to influence that a little bit, I bet.
Yeah, I did. So like, we went to some really cool breweries and some great restaurants and stuff. So we had tailgates. So I may have had a little bit of beverages before I stepped foot in there to begin with. And then like, here we are timing and I'm fine. I'm timing. The girls are before him. There's a few heats. And then he's the first heat of boys and I see him getting ready and I lose it. I start crying and I'm like, I can't even look at him because I'm afraid of it. But I think he knew.
Yeah.
And so the minute he got out of the pool, he comes up and he's hugging me and I could feel his like shoulder shaking a little bit and I'm sobbing and I'm like, this is so inappropriate because I know there's another heat that has to go right after him.
Yeah, but how can you not? How can you not as a parent? So cheers to DJ.
Cheers to DJ.
For a very, very successful career and hopefully, he still finds solace and joy in the pool, even when he's not competing. So,
I hope so.
Yeah. I
really do.
Yeah. No, I've gotten to go to one or two of his meets and I know nothing about swimming but it was really cool to go and see like just the speed in which these kids are like swimming.
There is much you need to know. I mean, there's a little technique and some
it's like
small
they go
rules.
back and forth and back and forth. I'm like,
you swim fast.
You got to touch the wall. Okay. All right, good.
I swim fast. So that's about it for this weekend. So I guess let's start diving into Big Sur. So why Big Sur, Laura?
So Big Sur, I love their tagline. Their tagline is running on the ragged edge of the Western world.
Yep, that's perfect.
Mwah.
That is it.
That is it, right?
To a T.
That is it to a T. I think that Big Sur, really, this is the race to run in California from both of our perspectives.
Oh God, yes. Like I'm not even curious about another race.
Yeah, no.
Not even a little.
No. Like this is the race.
Oh yeah.
When we would be at races and I would see people with like runners, because like when you're at a marathon, right, like runners will traditionally wear like, some of their other gear to races. They'll wear their marathon, their Boston jackets, their gear to races. Like, I'm a marathoner, I'm supporting. I remember you pointing out, and we were in Philly, and you pointed out when we were walking back to our car, somebody who was wearing the Boston to Big Sur jacket, and you're like, I want to do that. This is way before like you got into Boston. We got into Boston, we ran it. And I'm like,
it was already ticking in the brain.
It was so ticking in your brain. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, and so you're like, oh, you run Boston and then, like within a, 1 to 2 week period of time, depending upon what the timing looks like, you end up running Big Sur out in California. So you fly 3,000 miles away. And at the time, I couldn't fathom running a marathon back to back 2 weeks, in between each other. Cause I'm like, what's the recovery time? And
right.
What if you get hurt? And oh my God. And, so when I think you mentioned it last episode, when you got into Boston, you had put in your name because you needed a Boston bib in order to go and get into the lottery for Big Sur. And Big Sur is extremely competitive to get into.
Not just for Big Sur, but the Boston to Big Sur
Boston
program.
to Big Sur program.
Yeah.
Yes. Because there's a lot, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but there's a lot that goes along with that.
Yeah.
And so you want to tell the story of how you found out that you got into Big Sur?
Yeah. I found out, I got a message via email. And I think I got a text message maybe too. I don't know if it was both. And I immediately was like, Lorri, you're never going to believe this, but I just got in Boston to Big Sur.
And again, my comment to you last week was like,
what the
fuck you. And I was like, what is this? What are you doing to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
I'm
so sorry.
It's okay. I mean, you got in. So to do Boston, I talked about last week. I had to raise a ton of money, and then this week, or for this race, I had to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, it was damn near impossible. I don't even think that they had any charity bibs for the race, and they only have like 4,500 people that run this race.
Yeah.
So it is a very boutique, style race.
I like that word.
Yeah,
I like that. It is
so
a boutique. Yeah.
It's just such a good, well-run race.
It
so
really
organized.
Is. And I think the natural registration, just to, like, if you just want to go and just run Big Sur, I think that is also a lottery.
Yeah, it's a very, very competitive to get in it. So I ended up getting a bib through Marathon Tours,
which is an excellent way to bypass some of the lottery systems.
Excellent, but it comes at a cost.
It does.
It comes at a cost.
But the cost is your accommodations, which is a little bit more expensive than probably booking your own accommodations, but you don't have to stress about the bib. Like it comes with the bib.
It comes with the bib, but you still have to pay the registration fee for the bib, and you still have to pay for your flight. So it doesn't include the flights. Now, I don't remember how much I paid in 2017 to do our Big Sur. But I looked at what it costs right now to do Marathon Tours for Big Sur. And in 2025, the cost was $2,960. And again, that doesn't include airfare or the race registration.
And how many nights of accommodations is that?
I believe it was 3 nights, accommodations. And we stayed at the Marriott in Monterey, which was a beautiful property. But it also didn't include the registration fee, which now the registration fee in 2025 for Big Sur is $425.
Holy shit, that's more than New York City?
It is. So some of these races that we do, it's maybe $100. I don't know what the cheapest one we've ever done was.
I think it's usually Philly because we sign up as soon as we run it. It's like $75.
Yeah, but it's $425 now.
Holy shit!
So I know I didn't spend that much in 2017, but I spent a lot. I remember I thinking to myself, this is probably going to be the most expensive race I ever run in my entire life. It probably was not when all is said and done, and I look back on things, right? Yeah, probably Rome was, but that's how I ended up getting my bib. Now, Lorri, because you got your bib through the Boston to Big Sur program, it came with all of that program's like perks. It's kind of like an extra thing outside of just getting the race registration.
Yeah, so you get like, with any other race, you get a T-shirt, the freebie shirt. race shirt, and then you get your medal.
And your Boston or Big Sur jacket.
No. Just if you're just doing Big Sur.
Oh, just Big Sur, yeah.
There's the medal.
Yeah.
And then the shirt. And then when you do Boston to Big Sur, you get an additional Boston to Big Sur medal. So then you end up with 2 medals, which we do have hanging behind us. You get an additional Boston to Big Sur shirt. And then you do get the jacket, which we're both sporting if you're with us on YouTube.
Yes, it's
I
the jacket.
wanted the jacket.
Yes, and I wanted the jacket too. So I'm going to just totally jump ahead to this one because this
kudos.
is because again, just mentioning that this was a boutique style race, the attention to detail that the race director and the staff give the runners, you feel like a very, very special person running this race. I mean, they just give such great care to you throughout the entire experience. And when I found out that even though I had gotten a bib for Big Sur, I was not included in the Boston to Big Sur program.
Right.
Because it's like a totally separate thing. And I think I wrote it down somewhere of how many women went and did the B2B. I think it was like 190 something women.
Wow.
Went and did B2B when we did it of the 4,500.
There it is.
Yeah,
194.
194 women did the B2B program.
Out of 4,500.
Out of 4,500 people.
Yeah.
So even though I ran Boston and I ran Big Sur, I was not included in the program. So I got just the regular Big Sur medal and I got the regular Big Sur shirt, but I didn't get all the B2B gear. And I was like, but I want the jacket and I want the extra medal like my friend has.
I did Boston, I did Big Sur. And how are we supposed to match if we don't have the same jacket?
So I put my feelings out on a piece of paper or in an email, and I wrote the race director, and I gave my big alligator tear, tears on page. And I,
you offered to pay for it.
Too. I did.
Yeah.
I was like, is there any way that look? All I really wanted was the jacket. Like I just, and I was like, I'll pay for it. My best friend and I, we wear the same clothes at every race, and it's like I want the jacket. Can you please, sir, please, may I have some? And I didn't get any kind of response. Via mail. I think I mailed it and emailed. I went both routes because I wasn't sure what was going to stick. Just throw all the spaghetti against the wall. And lo and behold, maybe about 2 weeks later, I got a box in the mail. And it was just, as a runner, this was like the coolest thing ever.
That's so sweet.
It was not only the jacket, but it was the shirt, the medal. It was wrapped up in like nice tissue paper with the most lovely note. And I still have the note card. And it congratulated me. It said, I wish you and Lorri, all the best of luck on your remaining 50 states. So glad you could participate. Please enjoy the jacket. And they didn't charge me for it.
Yeah.
And everything. And it was just, to me, that was a runner. Right?
Yeah.
That was a runner supporting another runner. And I just, and I don't know at the time, because I'd have to go back and look at the card. I don't know if it's the same race director that is there now. But man, I felt so.
It's a class act.
It's so classy. So classy. So for those of you who can't see us on YouTube, and you're just listening to us, our jackets are like a nice bright red with some white piping.
Yeah, it's got a little slimming feature, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, we've worn these a lot in races.
A lot.
These jackets.
And in the winter, just in
general. They're kind of
like
a nylon material, and I don't know. There's something about this jacket. It's just my feel-good jacket.
I love this jacket.
Yes, ditto.
These jackets are well earned.
So while we we're focusing on like the B2B, right? And getting that done and just feeling accomplished as runners, because it was 13 days, between the two races.
Yeah.
Talk about the scenery at Big Sur.
It's second to none.
Right?
Second to none. I'll dip into the course a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So they drop you off at Big Sur Station.
Yes.
I think is the area that it's called. Well, actually, I'm gonna do the true Lorri style, because I realize
we gotta go backwards a little bit.
I listen to our podcast and I'm like bitch, you never answer the question. Like, ever. Like, if there is ever a case for adult ADHD, hello. Like, listening to my
That's
own
why you're my
self-
friend.
my own self-talk.
That's why you're my friend, and then I bring you back.
I'm like, where the hell do you go? Well, ready, kids? Let's just get on for the ride.
Buckle up.
Here
Buckle
we go.
up. Lori's telling a story.
Yeah. So we're going to go way, way, way back. So in the morning, we had to meet this bus.
Like so freaking early in the morning.
It's like Disney.
Yeah.
Like 3:45, 4 a.m.
And it was cold.
At the Marriott.
It was in the mid 40s
It was in the mid-40s.
when we got on the bus.
And I was sitting here wondering, because we were discussing, like, did we have a mile 20 beverage?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at this point in our journey, we had not realized the hot cold bags, which we'll get to in episodes down the road. And we did not think about dropping at night. It was mostly in the morning.
Right.
And I feel like we nixed it.
Because it was so early.
Because it was so early. And the course shut down early. There was no way Dave could meet
they
us
didn't
at
have,
mile 20.
Yeah, they didn't have the roads open for anybody to drive up to Big Sur. It was, the roads were completely closed, and all you saw were we're in school buses. We're in buses all the way along the Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah, so they shut down Route 1, the Pacific Coast Highway, from Big Sur all the way down to Carmel.
Yes.
So we're butt-ass early. We're leaving 4 a.m. I think the bus ride, it's probably one of my favorite bus rides, believe it or not. It is terrifying. So we had been... You know, we trained for Heartbreak Hill. We knew that was going to be terrible. However, when you look at the course profile of Big Sur, there is a big
middle finger in the middle. It's like a big hill that goes up and then it comes down. Middle finger.
Hurricane Point rises over 2 miles over 500 feet in elevation.
Yeah, 560 to be exact.
Yeah, right before the halfway point. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's dark because it's before the crack of dawn, and we're driving in the bus, and it's quiet. You know, it's early.
Yeah, everybody's going to listen to music or just kind of sitting, and it's early.
Sleeping. It's early. I can remember looking out the window, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And I'm looking across, kind of like a big. I'm gonna guess it's dark. Like I see these lights on the side of a mountain, and I'm looking, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I go, holy shit. And I said it really loud, or is that what I said? Did I say holy shit or fuck or something? I said something like very loud in the bus, and Laura looks over and goes, what do you say?
I think I just started giggling. Like I was like, oh my God.
Because what you're watching are the buses in the caravan in front of you.
A really far distance away.
I mean, they were probably a mile away on the other, like across I guess the cove is the best way I can say it.
But at an extremely high elevation from where we were.
Climbing Hurricane Point.
Yes.
Going out. And I just was thinking, shit, we're running all of this.
All of it.
All of this we are running, and that elevation is included.
And it was great when we got over the Hurricane Point on the buses, and then it was this meandering like up and down, you know, just oscillating road. And I just remember saying to him, like, dude, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
And you know, and just because it was hills. But I tell you what, we both went and said that race went so fast for us.
It's the fastest 26.2 miles.
And that's where we started. Every time we would hit a mile marker, remember? That's where we started
because some guys started it and ran by us. He's like, I do this every time. It's our tradition.
So what we do is as soon as we pass by the mile marker 1, we do a countdown, and it's right before we pass by. I'm usually the countdown, and I'm like 3, 2, 1, and then we're like 1,
3, 2, 1,
2, and it just acknowledges it's another mile behind us.
Yeah.
And okay, we're making progress. But we started that, and we have never not done that in a race since then.
We even kind of stutter our steps I'm like, Laura, you need to count down. Here it comes.
The mile marker's right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It It was the fastest non-PR I've ever ran. I don't even know how to explain that to anybody. But
I don't know. You and I because the scenery is spectacular. So you start, like Lorri was saying, we start at Big Sur Station. And when we got to the start line, they had an exorbitant number of porta-johns, which we were very happy about. But it was so dark out. And I remember going into the porta-john and just kind of hanging out in there for a little bit. I was like, wow, it is so dark in here.
Yeah.
And, so that was nice. Like, we didn't have to really wait on too many lines.
No.
And they start you in an area where there's a redwood forest.
Yeah, it's very
It's the first couple of miles, the redwood forest. And I can still recall the smell of just that redwood forest nature, like
kind of, it was
woodsy, moist.
Yeah.
And there's just, you said moist.
I did say moist. I was just thinking somebody out there is cringing right now at that.
Moist. It was very moist. But it was
damp.
Chilly. Yes, it was chilly. It was chilly outside as well. But I remember, just not really minding the start because it just, I don't know, it was just so picturesque.
And peaceful.
And very peaceful.
And kind of like that woodsy peaceful.
Yes.
I feel like there was some campgrounds also nearby and there was a little bit of wood smoke, but not intrusive.
No, it was not
just
intrusive.
Just like that faint feel of it. And then, as you're coming down, because I think you are coming down,
it's a downhill in the beginning.
First 5 miles is a little down, but it takes you right down into the coast and the trees opening up to the coastline. I mean, it is. People do this. They drive it.
Yeah, that
drive is a notorious scenic highway drive.
Pacific Coast Highway or Highway 1.
Yeah, shut down for runners. Yeah. My mind was blown that it was going to be closed for the day.
Yeah, so we had the whole road to ourselves for a majority of the race.
So, as you're running, the beauty of it, just the grasses, because there's a lot of grasses, and then it drops off to rocky cliffs into the blue water, and
then
of course
there were pastures, and we saw cows and and there wasn't a lot of residences or anything. It was mostly all nature. There was
I don't think there was anything after Big Sur Station.
Not until towards the very, very end of the race where we got to around Point Lobos. At mile 24, because then I remember there being a lot of residents out on the road and cheering us on. There was even a guy playing the bagpipes. And, it's just, there was a good energy. We kind of needed that at the end. But I do recall that there was around mile 9. Do you remember the Pinocchio sign?
Yes.
And it's kind of like a life-size sign, and it's a mile marker for mile 9, and it has a picture of a female runner asking, kind of with a little, comment bubble that says, "Are there any more hills?" And then there's a Pinocchio figure in the picture saying, no, this is really the last hill. And I took a picture of it, and because I was giggling because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where we really start running, going up, to Hurricane Point. So I have on the desk here with me, for those of you who can't see us on video, I actually, when Lorri, Dave, and I went into Carmel the day after the marathon to just kind of do little shopping and go into some shops, I found this little wood Pinocchio figure, and I bought it because that reminds me of the mile 9 sign and the hills that we ran. And so I think I'm going to keep it on the desk here from now on. It was upstairs in my home office, but I'm going to keep it here on the desk because, Pinocchio's our friend. And he lied to us.
But let's not get too far from the start, because there was some very cool things that people.
Oh, yes.
We got to see at the start.
You cried.
I know.
You're so sappy. You cried. Who did you meet?
I got to meet Tai Trang, who was a 2-time Survivor player.
Survivor, the TV show.
The TV show, yes. My family, we have appointment TV on Wednesday nights, and I've been watching Survivor almost consistently since its inception in
You
2000.
have because you guys talk about
Yeah,
Survivor.
we do. Yeah. And I have to tell you, I fell in love with Ty's season. And I remember them making an announcement that he was there and me being like, holy shit, where is he? And I got to see him and meet him.
You had your spidey sense going on, man.
I did. I'm like, I'm going to find him.
Although you couldn't miss him with his glasses. He's a very short gentleman, but he has these round, very distinct round glasses that he wears. Very.
He's just very distinctive looking.
Yes.
Like you can't misplace him.
Yes.
Anywhere.
If you knew who he was, I'm looking at the guy going, because I don't watch Survivor, and I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. Like, and then you got like all emotional, getting your picture taken with him, and I'm like,
that's because he was like our favorite player for 2 seasons. Like we really just enjoyed following his storyline. I mean, he was just a kind man, and I loved. Anyway. I was fangirling over Ty. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I got my picture taken with Tiki Barber. So Tiki Barber for a number of years used to play for the New York Giants. Now, although I am right now an Eagles fan, I grew up in a household that watched the Giants. So I knew who Tiki Barber was. And again, they were announcing as people were coming, into the start area, like any kind of stars and So they announced that Tiki Barber was there, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go find this from my dad. My dad's never gonna believe this. So,
and because it's so small, it wasn't hard to find people at the start.
And they and these guys were like so cool. They were not minding like
so
anybody.
Nice too.
Such a nice guy, like super nice guy. I was like, hey Tiki, I'm like, my dad is like a huge Eagles fan. Like, would you mind if I got my picture taken? Like his mind's just going to be blown that I'm running a race with Tiki Barber. He's like, yeah, sure. No problem. Right. And he's just got the most gorgeous smile. Right. So it's like, I was like, So got my picture taken with him. I was like, thank you so much. Go Birds. And he was like, oh, like kind of joking, like, oh, I shouldn't have got my picture taken with you. But no, he was a good sport about that. So so we started out like even before running, like on just like this little high. We're like, ooh,
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were on the course. We're seeing all these really cool things, right? So we meet these cool people. What's another cool thing that we saw in the water?
Oh, well, I feel like we manifested that.
We did, didn't we?
Because we were running and the sun was shining and the atmosphere, like the sky
was blue.
But that blue.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that blue.
That turquoise blue.
That doesn't look real blue. Yes. Which, of course, is why the water looked yeah, I mean, the temperature was perfect. Like, everything was perfect. And I remember looking out and going, it'd be so perfect if we saw a whale.
Yep. And bam!
And then, like it was a little bit after I said it, but it was like, oh my God, did you say that?
Yeah.
That's a whale.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't like, I mean, super, super far away from the shore.
No.
Which was even more cool because, you could definitely tell it was a whale.
It was a whale.
And so we were like, holy crap, man, we made that shit happen.
We manifested that. Yes. Thank you. Thank you to the powers that be. That was amazing.
So the cool thing when you're coming into running Hurricane Point, again, this is, you're kind of at the, I don't know, maybe like around the 11-mile mark because Bixby Bridge is at the 13-mile mark.
I think it starts at 10.
Yeah,
it's like a 2-mile climb.
Is it? Yeah, because I think you hit the top point at 12 miles.
12 miles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're right. So you hit it at the bottom at maybe like mile 10.
Yeah,
and the really cool thing, and we heard this like kind of as we were coming in, like because you run downhill.
It's that cove that we saw when we were with the buses. So it's like a little bit of a U shape.
It's definitely almost like a V shape. I mean, that's like that was a tight turn coming. You come down the hill, down one hill, and then you're at the very bottom, and then you're going to climb to Hurricane Point. But as we were coming down the hill before we kind of made that turn, we're hearing like drums and like we're like, what the hell is that?
The beat was like a perfect cadence. Yeah.
Big beat, right foot, right? Yeah, and so it was a group of taiko Japanese drummers.
Yeah.
So the word taiko means drum in Japan. So it's kind of like redundant when you call them taiko drummers. They're drummers. Drum drummers. But these drums were gigantic. They were predominantly women playing the drums, and they set a beat for the runners as you start attacking this hill. Now, the history on taiko drums in Japan was used for communication as well as military movements, which I thought was kind of cool.
Well, yeah, because it was a cadence.
It's a cadence.
Yeah.
And man, we picked up that cadence. And I was almost bummed when it got like, because you're running 2 miles uphill and you lose the music after a while. But man, that got us a good way up the hill. And we did really well. We killed that hill.
We did.
People were walking all around us, but we had some good music going because you had your speaker.
I did.
Yep.
I did. And I didn't get to touch on this last week.
Yeah. We realized that we got so tied up in all other conversation. We didn't talk about our music faux pas last week.
The music faux pas. So we had it was the first time I had used the JBL speaker
for a race
in Boston, and the whole race. And we had the playlist.
Mm-hmm.
She added songs on Spotify playlist. I added songs. I ordered the songs so they would hit in the right way or the correct genres kind of together, because I like doing that kind of thing. Anyway, and so all race, I think we would approach music and I would turn it down. And then I would turn it back up, and then I would turn it down, and then I would turn it back up.
Because you want to listen to whatever, when they were playing Sweet Caroline. Yeah. I mean, we didn't want to go and listen to whatever we had on our speaker. We wanted to
hear
be in the moment and hear that. Yes.
And it was about at mile 23 that the speaker cut out.
It crapped out.
Completely
crapped out.
And we didn't have AirPods, backup, anything, and
You wigged out.
I was beside myself.
Yeah.
I went freaking mental at Boston because we
did.
lost our music with 3 miles to go. I'm like, would it be 40 minutes with no music?
It's like a rarity to see you in a moment like that, but I distinctly remember because I was like, Lorri, it'll be okay. Just play it on your phone.
I think because I was so upset. I was okay, but the fact that I was responsible for the music and I failed.
Yeah.
And that failed us. And that was what was unacceptable.
And then I was like,
for me, I'm like, whatever. But it's affecting you.
Just play the music on your phone, dude. It's okay.
I know.
And we survived.
I know. You really talked me down, though. You were like,
I was like, it's okay.
So when we got to Big Sur, I was hypersensitive about it. And so I kind of I didn't touch the volume.
Well, and we didn't know if that was it, or we're like, okay, is this a bad speaker because it's just it just won't go and because we're on the course a long time.
We are, but we'd also practice with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd run our long runs with it. So anyway, that was just the story of that.
Yeah, but the music that we played, because again, we started adding songs for the states or the cities that we were running into our playlist. And so California, they have some really awesome music to go and add to a playlist.
California Girls?
Yeah, California Dreamin'.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the other one we talked about earlier?
Oh, I don't remember.
Why am I brain farting? We just talked about it.
I don't know.
Cold Little Heart, Big Little.
Oh, the Big Little Lies.
Oh, Big Little Lies.
Yes,
that's right.
We got lucky. Maggie just chimed in and helped us out.
Yes.
Yeah.
We phoned a friend.
Yeah, I phoned a friend. No, why? Don't cut it out. Yeah, because Big Little Lies was it just finished? Or was it in between seasons?
It was in between seasons because I remember going down to the Monterey Pier and we're like, oh my God, this is where they film blah 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 scene.
Yeah, and the bridge.
And the bridge, yeah.
The bridge is a big deal, right? So so we had the
because then after we ran Big Sur, every time the beginning credits or the opening of Big Little Lies came on, I was like, I ran that with Lorri. I ran that with Lorri. I ran that. They're driving that. I ran that.
I know. I'm like, God. And then I was like, it's so beautiful. It's just so pretty.
So after we finished Hurricane Point, which was kind of funny because we kept going up and then we kept. You remember we would turn a corner and we're like, dude, this has got to be the top of it, and we're like, fuck,
nope,
there's still more hill.
It
was a big hill. It
is a very big hill, but it was a spectacular view.
Oh my gosh,
when you get to the point, and very windy,
very windy, windy up at the top, but then I remember once we got to that crest of the mountainside, then we turned this turn and then you could see the Bixby Bridge.
Yeah.
And the Bixby Bridge is, if you've seen the pictures of the Pacific Coast Highway, it's that iconic bridge that almost looks like a rainbow.
Yeah.
And it's made of complete concrete.
Yeah.
And the bridge was actually constructed in 1932.
Wow, really?
Right? And it's the highest bridge of its kind. So it's a 200-foot bridge. So it spans over that. Now, the interesting thing about that one is that the bridge was made before the road was completed.
What?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is
and it cost
crazy.
$200,000 to make in 1932. So can you imagine how much money that was back then?
No clue. But the Bixby Bridge is kind of the figurehead. It's the Big Sur medal.
Yes.
Or at least our Big Sur medal has the Bixby Bridge on it. So that's kind of like the iconic image for the Big Sur Marathon.
Yes, yes.
But it's beyond that, though, because the ambiance leading onto the bridge is perfection. It is classy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it might involve a baby grand piano.
It does.
Yeah.
There is a pianist that is playing.
You said pianist.
I did. Pianist.
Pianist.
Playing in his tuxedo with tails.
And is a concert baby grand piano.
Yes, he's playing. I don't even know what he was playing. Could have been Mozart, Beethoven.
He was actually playing Jonathan Lee's music.
Oh.
So I did a little bit of research on this.
Who's Jonathan Lee?
So
'Cause I don't even know.
So Jonathan Lee is my brother-in-law. But no, this is another Jonathan Lee.
I didn't know he was so talented.
I don't know if he plays the piano or not, but this is a different Jonathan Lee who I am not related to. But this Jonathan Lee, he started playing the piano at the other side of the Bixby Bridge in 1986 when the Big Sur Marathon started.
Wow, so he does it every year.
So he was the original gentleman. But in 2004, gotcha. I guess he came down, or he had diabetes, and he just came into a bad bout of bad health, and he was looking for someone to hand off the torch to play at the marathon. So he finds this guy Michael Martinez through some contacts. Michael Martinez, when he first met Jonathan Lee, he was 13 years old.
Get out.
No, and that was in 2004. Jonathan Lee died in 2004. So the big, I think Michael Martinez started playing in 2004.
Huh.
And so the guy that we have our photograph with, that's Michael Martinez playing the piano.
Oh.
So he has been playing at every Big Sur Marathon since 2004.
So
we ran it in
21 years.
Yeah, we ran it in 2017.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is.
And he started at a
Thank
really,
you
really
for that. I am
young
learning.
age.
I had no idea.
Because I remember, so Lorri and I had this thing when we travel to all these places. Usually Lorri drives.
Yeah.
And
I do a lot of wondering.
And you're like, I wonder this. And I'm like, I'm constantly Googling. I'm like I constantly have to learn and share all these fun facts. I know that we had researched that at some point in time. We just did a data dump. Like, it was like, okay, we know it. Like, and so forth. But it's been fun kind of like, recreating.
Blowing the dust off the memories.
Blowing the dust off the memories. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this guy. So yes. So we stopped at the bridge and got our picture taken with Michael Martinez with his tails.
Yes.
And it's just, it's just the strangest thing to see a piano out in the open. But man, he's playing Jonathan Lee's original music, because Jonathan Lee only played his music at the Big Sur Marathon.
It's just so elegant for a marathon.
It was
like, you're sweaty, you're gross, you're tired,
it's
and then
boutique-y and bougie, and
elegant.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So I think once you hit the Bixby Bridge, then you're hitting a bunch of, like, again, meandering hills and pastures and stuff.
Quite surprised, because in my mind, I thought that the Bixby Bridge was towards the end. I'm going to be real. When I was researching the course,
it was at the halfway
just to
point.
Remind, I'm like, oh my God, that was at the halfway point.
Yeah.
So that's how fast, in my mind, the second half of that marathon went.
Yeah.
It levels out a little bit. There are still some hills, but they're not quite as intense.
They're not hateful.
Yeah, they're not hateful. And the miles, definitely, like we said,
because the scenery just distracts you. And I think because we had our music and we were singing. In fact, we got into our, I think it was the first time we started singing Son of a Bitch, Give Me a Drink at about mile 24, because we did not do a mile 20 drink, right?
Yeah.
Because, what we mentioned earlier. So we, at that point in time, were like, oh yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready. Mama's ready to hit the bar.
We also saw, I feel like at that part of the course, we started, we bumped into a running legend.
Legend, yes.
So we talked about, I think in the first or second episode, about like if you are not a marathon runner and wanted to start running in any way, that halhigdon.com was really great for free training plans. Matter of fact, Maggie was looking up training plans
Good.
or a couple of days ago.
Good.
And then, as a matter of fact, she's just flashed us. She's
Hal
looking
Higdon.
at. She's actually
Hal
on there
Higdon.
right now, Hal Higdon. But there's another legend with a very unique training perspective. His name is Jeff Galloway. And he also has a website, jeffgalloway.com. I'm not as familiar with his website and what he offers, but his whole philosophy is 2 and 1.
Yes.
You run 2 minutes, you walk 1 minute. So it's an interval training program, because he believes, and a lot of people also buy into the philosophy, that it's actually way easier on your body to do it in this manner, where you're not constantly stressing the body out. But
Yeah,
you're
you
doing
use
the
different
2-1.
muscles running and walking.
Yeah. So if you've ever thought about doing anything, 5K, going around the block, that may also be a good direction to kind of do some investigative work in looking that up. But so we knew Jeff Galloway was out on the course, because that was one of the people that they announced.
Yes.
But I've never ran like that. We do walk, obviously, sometimes, but
Yeah.
we don't like 2 and 1 it. It's not structured.
We're in sync with each other, and it's just whoever needs a break.
Yeah, I need a break.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
It's usually me looking for the break.
I've
Let's
had
be
my
real.
days, but I've had my days.
know,
It
I know.
happens to all of us. But anyway, so we somehow, I think they came up on us maybe,
Yeah.
and he's like the Pied Piper. There were like 20 people with him, would you say?
At least 20 people.
Running around him, and he's guiding them. He's like a guru. All of his...
He was like the Pied Piper.
Yeah. Anyway, but we were kind of going the same pace, but they were like, run, walk, run, walk.
And then finally, I was like, Lorri, this is fucking driving me crazy. Can we run a little fast? Would you mind if we ran a little faster so we can kind of
get ahead
of them? And I think that they stopped for like a porta john thing. So we were like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So not to neg it, but it was one of those things that started getting in your head.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh my gosh, should we be doing the same thing? And we're going to join in with the Pied Piper, And we're like, no, we need to just do our own thing.
Like we always do.
Yes.
Just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
Because we have those moments as well. Like anytime a pace group comes up on us, one of us will start picking up the pace, and it's like I don't want to be running like that.
Yeah.
I don't. But
Yeah.
but that energy sometimes carries you, and you have to. We reel ourselves back, and we're like, okay, stop all that nonsense. Like we've got many miles to go. We do not need to be doing that. But it was cool to share a course.
Yeah.
With a legend, because Jeff Galloway is a legend.
Absolute legend. And I would imagine that all of those people finished the race too with him.
Yeah.
So
And that's like back-to-back marathon legends that we had.
I know.
Because with
I know.
Catherine Switzer and then Jeff Galloway. It was just really
this
cool.
is like really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So when we came across the finish line, I mean, they had a really, really nice spread in Carmel at the finish line.
I can't talk about it because I can't remember it.
Yeah, well, I know you got to go into the B2B VIP tent.
Yeah, but I swished through there quickly because you couldn't.
did.
I was
did.
like, I can't leave her out there. So I just
and
ignored
then,
it.
And then you
kept
made me
going.
feel better, and you were like, you couldn't have eaten most of the food in there anyway because it was
all glutinous.
It was all glutinous. I was like,
all of it.
I was like, I was like, I hope you're lying to me, but I'm like, I feel better.
Good news is I don't remember. So
Yeah.
the lie is the truth at this
That's
point.
okay. I hung out with Dave. And
Yes.
I like did like the little puppy dog thing. I was like, okay, you go in the VIP tent without me. But we did have, as you mentioned earlier, we went down to the beach because you had this bright idea.
I was going in the water.
You're like, I'm going to go in the Pacific Ocean after this race.
Yep. I was going to dip in the water.
And what happened?
I put my feet in and said, "Fuck no."
Because why?
It was cold.
It was May. It was the end of May.
It's like 50 degrees.
Yeah. The Pacific Ocean is no joke.
You know, I would probably go in now, though.
I totally would now, too.
I wouldn't then.
Yeah.
Because I was a weenie. But now, after Cranberry Lake, I think I'd go in now.
Yeah. You swim in like these frigid temperatures. And yeah, so we decided, though, after we had some wine, you got this great idea to have Dave take a jumping picture of us.
I love jumping pictures. There are multiple out there of us jumping, but this was our first attempt.
I was not in any condition to jump.
Your face is classic, though, in the picture.
I had like white man overbite.
You look like the struggle was real to get your feet off the ground.
So bad. And then not only that, but I think after we sent it to Jim, did he or you somebody zoomed in, or maybe your husband did, zoomed in on my face. I was like, oh God, that picture's never gonna go away.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, you can find it on our Instagram later tonight or tomorrow or whenever.
Maggie was just like, yeah, gotta make sure that I get that picture. But yeah, so that was pretty funny. We've taken other jump pictures as well, and I think there's a theme that you can jump really high, and I don't really jump.
It's just all about picking up your back leg,
Yeah.
like kicking your butt.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't happen for
You
me.
had a really good one, and we'll show that later, but in Montana, I felt like, when we were in Glacier, you had a good one when you jumped off the rock, because you got a little height.
Oh, yeah, well, I kind of cheated because I came off of a rock.
I came off a rock, too.
Yeah.
We both cheated.
Yeah. Well, I did not get height on the beach.
No, there was no height. I don't even know if your right leg actually left the ground.
Yeah. And then after the race, and we did our little jumping thing, we were like, we need to get something to eat.
Yeah.
So we went to a place called El Torito. El Torito.
We Mexicans a theme here.
Yes.
Because I really think it's that salty chips.
The salty and then the sour margarita.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we got some good pictures of the two of us. No shower happy hour.
Of course.
And we ponied up to the bar with Dave, and we had some margaritas and some really, really great chips. I don't even remember if we had tacos or food or anything like that.
I feel like we had to have eaten.
Yeah.
Because we've been up since 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
We had to have eaten.
Yeah. Yeah, because we really didn't eat breakfast or
I
anything.
literally was in a weird fog.
Yeah.
So that trip, there's so much about that trip. I remember details to trips because I planned them out so meticulously most of the time. But just because of the weird depression-y
the
fog
emotional
and
stuff
all
that
the
you guys had
emotional
going
stuff,
on.
Everything is so blurry, and I'm kind of unapologetic about it just because it is what it is. I wish I could remember, and I wish we had journaled these things.
I know we didn't journal at all, but
kids, please, for God's sakes, buy a journal and write in it.
If you're even as you just do things in life, I do the Day One app that your husband,
I should probably do that.
Your
one.
husband went and recommended to me, and I have been doing it over a year now. Every day I do the Day One journal. It's an app on my phone, and I have it on my to-do list every day to do my journal. And it's just
list.
I know, and it's just a daily prompt. It's like, one of the prompts was, what were you most grateful for in the month of February? That was a daily prompt, or what are you looking forward to this week? Yeah, so just little questions like that, and sometimes I just put a picture in the journal, but it's definitely I can look back a year ago, and I'm like, oh wow, we were renovating our house in the Chesapeake. I'm like, man.
It's come a long way.
Yeah, so it's a cool thing. But definitely if you're running races or you're just adventuring, take some time just to kind of jot some thoughts down, with your pictures.
Yeah.
I think we got much better at taking pictures. That was my role on the course. I was the official you had the music, you were the music director, I was the photographer.
Yes.
And so I think, the races that we did, starting really in Boston and Big Sur, we took a lot more pictures along the way. And they got funnier as the races went on.
They did.
Yeah.
But it's so bad because now when I go out anywhere without you, I just leave without taking pictures. And I'm like, I'm so used to
even when we do things socially, it's not even like a race, and I'm just like click, 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 click,
Yeah.
Constantly taking photos and so forth. But so I remember El Torito, and then the only other place I wanted to talk about as far as meals that I just remember getting such a great breakfast was at Lulu's Griddle in the Middle in the Monterey Pier, which unfortunately, after I did some research earlier today, they are now officially
Oh,
closed.
that's so sad.
So they closed in November of 24. I guess it was a lease, the increase. But this place was on diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Oh, that's such a
Guy
bummer.
Fieri, and and I just remember Dave getting Portuguese sausage, because we all were like, "What the heck is Portuguese sausage?" Right?
Yeah.
And I have a picture of you like with a pancake that's like way bigger than like your face.
That's
and,
good stuff.
Yeah, it was. I just remember that being a really good breakfast, and because the three of us just had some good conversation, and we were by the ocean, and I don't know, it was just a good kind of like ending the day after the race.
I agree with that. It was good.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the swag from the race.
Oh, I love the swag.
The
Well,
swag
we
was-
already talked
Yeah,
about
we talked about
a
the
lot of
jackets.
it.
Yeah, so the medals are just so unique.
They're so unique, and I love them for their uniqueness. So instead of the classic strap that you get,
Like a ribbon.
yeah, the ribbon that goes, the thick ribbon, they actually have like a little piece of tied leather. That's the strap for the medal, and it's porcelain. Would you say
Porcelain or clay?
porcelain or clay? And it's everything artsy and funky that you would want a Big Sur medal to be.
It's like a granola
It is
medal.
a granola
It's
medal.
California
I agree.
granola.
It is. And on the Boston and Big Sur medal is a little bit different, but it doesn't have the Bixby Bridge that the Big Sur medal does have, but it does just say Boston to Big Sur.
And it has a
But
wave, right?
Well, that's a
Is that
2.
a wave?
It's the number 2
Oh,
that they
it's a
made
2.
into a wave.
It looks like a wave on the.
But it's the same style with the leather strap, and it's either the clay or it's clay. Is it clay?
Clay, yeah,
You
like
know
terracotta.
You're more artsy than I
Yeah.
am. But it's very earthy as well. And
Yeah.
they're just cool. They're very unique. They're probably one of my favorites.
I totally
in all
I totally
reality.
agree. Just because the ones that have been really unique, different materials,
Yeah.
and yeah, I love the leather strap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very easy to find on the rack.
They are. We were looking through we're going to talk about my
Your
rack again. Yeah, and like you were helping me find my Big Sur medals, and as soon as you saw the leather, you're like, oh, there they are.
Yep.
So definitely easy to find. So all right, so gotta ask, would you run Big Sur again?
Of course,
I would do it in a heartbeat.
in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. This is where we get a little ill because, we're going to wind up running it again.
Yeah.
The question is whether our daughters are with us.
Yeah, it's.
Or am I wrong?
No,
Are we
you're
gonna run this
you're
again?
you're
I feel
not.
like we're gonna try and run this again.
If you recall, like at some point in time, after we were done with the 50 states, I'm like, we have 62 races, and if you count up the states where we doubled up already, we're probably like already through like a quarter of the states.
I'm 10 states deep, easy into a second
I'm like,
round.
I'm like, dude, and you were like, no, but then you were like, well, and then I was like, no, and then you were like, yay, and then I was like, no,
and now we're both like, It's amazing what a year off can do, don't you think?
Yeah, it's just
I think seeing the pictures and reliving all of this now makes me be like, yeah, I want to go. I want to go do that again.
And we definitely took some time off, last year for a multitude of reasons. But yeah, it's like the little hunger pang to get back on the course it's there. I got the itch. I got the itch too. Yeah. So you want to give the teaser for next week?
Yeah.
Wrap us up.
And I can't remember what drove us. I know that there's a challenge that we did sign up for also that was involved with Vermont City that went in conjunction with Hartford, Connecticut. If you did those 2 marathons, you got an extra medal.
Oh, yeah.
But so Vermont City I feel like it was Memorial Day weekend. So I feel like that was a May race. So we had maybe about a month between Big Sur and that. And then we signed up for Hartford to get the extra medal.
Yes, we did.
And that was in the fall. So we are going to touch on the first of those, Vermont City, which was our Vermont race, obviously, in Burlington. That was a whole family experience
Whole family,
as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we had everybody up there with us.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else?
No, I think we did Big Sur complete justice.
Yeah.
And
I love her. She's beautiful.
Yeah, she was a beautiful race. And, yeah.
If you're not in the mood for a full marathon.
Oh, yes.
Big Sur does have a 21 miler.
21 miler.
10.6
miler.
12K.
A 12K.
Relay.
A relay and the 5K. We didn't like the relayers.
Well, that's because we were like struggling, and then they come
like,
charging up behind you with their fresh legs.
I just started 2 minutes ago, and oh my God, you guys are so slow.
Look at me. I run like a gazelle. I have all this energy.
For these 2 miles that I'm going to run.
Yeah.
Fucking relayers. We hate relayers. no, not really.
I don't
but
hate relayers.
We're envious of the relayers.
Yes, because they all look fresh.
Yes.
When I look gross.
Yes.
And sloggy.
Yes.
Anyway, we want to thank you for listening to Mile 20 today. Thank you for hanging with us, and go make Mile 20 your bitch.
Peace out.